A child runs up to you, bursting with pride, and hands you a messy crayon drawing. You smile, look at the paper, and say, "Wow, good job, this is beautiful." We do this reflexively. The logic is that constant enthusiastic praise acts as a steady deposit into a child's self-esteem account, making them confident and secure over time. But relying on this instinct actually creates a biological trap. Decades of psychological research separate human motivation into two categories: external regulation, which relies entirely on outside rewards or praise, and intrinsic motivation, where satisfaction comes from mastering a task. These two systems actively compete against each other. When you offer immediate positive judgment, the child doesn't evaluate their own work. The brain routes that dopamine hit around the prefrontal cortex, the complex thinking center, straight to the reward center. Repeating this shortcut physically wires the brain to expect outside validation. The child learns to seek that external hit of approval rather than deciding if they actually like what they created. By constantly stepping in to supply the praise, you remove the neurological need for the child to develop their own internal sense of accomplishment. You are doing the psychological work for them. To understand how to build durable motivation, we have to look closely at the internal environment of the brain, specifically the prefrontal cortex, located right behind the forehead. Confidence operates as a highly mechanical biological system. It is a set of active neural circuits, not a passive emotional state. For this system to run, the prefrontal cortex has to independently assess a challenge, process the child's capability, and recognize success on its own. Think of it like a self-winding watch. The gears and springs only maintain tension and keep time through their own internal movement and resistance. If the brain does not practice generating its own internal friction and reward, the child cannot produce a durable, self-sustaining sense of self-worth when adults aren't around. Brain architecture is built on a simple principle: neurons that fire together wire together. If a circuit is repeatedly activated, it becomes stronger and more efficient. When an adult acts as an external battery, constantly supplying good jobs and well-dones, the child's prefrontal circuits remain dormant. The brain faces zero internal friction. To wire those circuits, you must remove the external praise, forcing a productive struggle. By withholding judgment, the child's prefrontal cortex is forced to fire, doing the heavy lifting of analyzing the effort and deciding its value. Without the friction of having to evaluate their own output, the physical scaffolding required for self-reliance never has a reason to form. Sidestepping this friction leaves the prefrontal cortex understimulated in the exact window when it's most adaptable, ensuring the child remains dependent on adult validation to feel successful. You can physically rewire this response using a simple 3-step protocol the next time your child hands you that crayon drawing. Step 1. Notice the details. Instead of saying, "That's amazing," state exactly what you see. Say, "You used a lot of blue on the roof," or "You drew 4 circles here." The complete absence of adult judgment leaves a void. To fill it, the child's prefrontal cortex turns on and evaluates the artwork itself. Step 2. Ask about the process. Prompt them by asking, "What was the hardest part to draw?" Or, "How did you pick these colors?" This forces the brain to review its own effort. The questioning creates the necessary friction that wires new pathways for autonomous problem solving. Step 3. Reflect their effort without grading it. A simple, "You worked really hard," confirms their independent achievement. Validating this productive struggle solidifies the newly wired brain architecture. They learn to associate satisfaction with their own effort rather than applause. True confidence requires stepping back. When you stop cheering and let the silence hang, you allow the child to construct their own neurological foundation for lifelong resilience.
If you want to understand your child's brain a little better every week, we make one of these for you. Subscribe, and we'll see you next time.